I think everyone knows us, but I'll introduce us. Brian, Lyle, Seth, Adam, David. We've all known Steve for 20 years. Growing up with him. First, I just want to thank Steve and Alex for delaying the wedding for me and Jamie. I really appreciate it. You went above and beyond. You really didn't have to. For those of you who don't know, Jamie couldn't make the wedding because we had our baby about a week before their original wedding. Now onto the speech. Yeah, I was coming. Nothing was going to let me miss that. Now onto the speech. So, just to educate everyone, hurricanes are a very relevant topic to this wedding. I have a scale called the Safford-Simpson scale, which runs from 1 to 5. Category 1 is the least severe. Category 5 is the most. In the light of the events that occurred around this wedding, Hurricane Sandy, we thought it would be appropriate to create the Hurricane Bones scale. Bones is the nickname we've given to Steve for the last 15 years due to his frail figure, which Alex actually shares. Instead of the traditional scale, which measures hurricane strength, the Hurricane Bones scale measures Steven's drunkenness on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being the least, 5 being the most drunk. Now, Stephen Joseph Lieberman is a very responsible adult. But like any responsible adult, he likes to let loose every now and then and have some fun. Since most of you here don't know Steve quite as well as we do, we feel it's our duty to fill you in and give you some examples of each level of the Hurricane Bones scale. I'm going to get things started with level 1. For category 1, look no further tonight. Steve's just sitting there, has some drinks, kicking back, having a good time with his friends and family. He's definitely not sober, but he's still fully coherent. As years go on, this category is getting more and more present in Steven's life. Our picture to portray this category is one that Steve would be proud of. I'm not so sure he's going to be able to say the same for the rest of the categories.
Good picture.
Yeah, very nice picture.
I want that.
Before I let everyone else go and get the more fun categories, I just want to say how happy I am that you guys didn't throw in the towel on this wedding, decided to have this weekend. I really love you both, and you deserve this celebration more than anyone. I hope you guys have the most amazing weekend, and I know you're going to have the most amazing life.
So much.
It was about 4 years ago when I got married, and it happened very fast because I was the first one involved. So, knowing my friends like to have a good time, I expected everyone to be on their feet, dancing the entire night. However, I had no idea what our friend Steve was capable of, or what he had in mind for my wedding. It was around 11 o'clock when my brothers gave their best man speech. The band had called everyone out to the dance floor. Yeah. The band had called everyone out to the dance floor for the speech. I'm blind, I'm sorry, so I'll start over. It was about around 11 o'clock when my brothers gave the best man speech. Okay? The band called everyone out to the dance floor. Once the speech was done, so we could continue dancing, out of nowhere, a huge circle formed of family and friends, and it was up to the person who got pushed into the middle, who would lead the dance. All of a sudden, without even being pushed in the middle, Stephen voluntarily jumps in the middle, breaks out, and now what we call is what,
Brian, read this for him.
Put that back on. I really screwed this up, sorry Steve. Sorry guys. Out of nowhere, I'll start over, buddy. This is horrible. Out of nowhere, a huge circle formed of family and friends, and it was up to the person who got pushed into the middle to lead the dance. I'm starting over again. All of a sudden, without even being pushed into the middle, Stephen voluntarily jumps right into the middle, breaks out, and now what we call the famous basketball dance. I can say it now finally. Imagine a tall, lanky kid with a couple of Patron shots pretending to dribble an imaginary basketball between his legs in front of 350 people. At the time, we all looked at him like he was completely insane. What on earth is this kid doing performing at my wedding? Little did we realize the impact of the dance would have us. Within minutes, the entire room was dancing, doing the basketball shots, the basketball, including the grandparents. Needless to say, the dance was set president because it's become a ritual at every single wedding we've had since. Who would have thought a few glasses of vodka and Patron shots could lead to LeBron James? Tomorrow night, we're all going to demonstrate this dance for you. Steve leading the way. Steven, get your dancing shoes on. You're excused. Sorry guys,
Wait, hold up category 2. Did you hear that?
Category 2.
Kyle?
How clever is
Go Seth!
Yes, Seth.
Go Seth!
Well, for Alex and Steve, I want to start out, like I do every presentation I've seen. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a personal joke between us. But anyway. So, Steve, to me, you're an amazing person. Brilliant, personable, you have all the qualities, but man, you're a little bizarre at times. Before I introduce you to category 3 bonus, I wanted to warn everybody that there are bizarre things Steve might do this weekend right in front of your eyes that you may have not have anticipated or you might not even see. For example, my guess is that Steve is wearing long johns at his rehearsal dinner. You probably won't admit it, but Steve's a huge advocate of wearing long johns on cold days like today. Second, if you keep an eye on Steve tonight, at some point, you may witness him quickly change his socks under the table. Steve claims that changing your socks periodically throughout the day is not just good for your hygiene, it's also refreshing. We all know Steve appears normal, but it's things like these that make us wonder how normal Steve really is. The biggest question I often have for Steve is, Steve, where are you going? I'm sure I'm not the only one who frequently sees Steve roaming around the Upper East Side, aimlessly in sweatpants and a hoodie. If you haven't seen him, you're probably mistaken him for a homeless person. These studies occur randomly at any hour of the day, regardless of the time. His attire is always the same. And when I ask him where he's going, he never reveals any details. So Steve, who are you? Are you Sergeant Nick Brody? On a nicer note, one of my favorite memories of Steve is when I was working in London and Steve and Zig flew across the pond to visit me. This is where Category 3 Bones was in full effect, and where the picture we're going to show was taken. I'll never forget Steve arriving at my door at 9 a.m. with no sleep, amped up to hit the streets of London right away. Our first stop was Harris Department Store, which I know sounds pretty lame for a bunch of guys to go to in the middle of London for a 3-day trip, but thanks to Steve, it wasn't lame at all. See, the fun started when we were walking around the store, and me and Zig looked at each other. What happened to Steve? He vanished. Poof, Sergeant Brody was gone. After he looked around for a few minutes, like concerned parents, he came running up to us with a weird smirk in his face. So he told us to follow him, so we did. He led us to Harrod's extensive whiskey cellar, which had hundreds of different types of aged whiskeys. And somehow, with Steve's smooth ways, he talked an employee into giving us a free whiskey tasting. So we took full advantage, acting like we were interested in discussing whiskeys, really trying to max out the tasting. After an hour of fake conversation, our mission was complete and we were hammered. Completely hammered. When we left Harrods, we had no clue what we were going to do. I still didn't know London, they didn't know London, so we made a drunk executive decision to do a bar crawl to the Tower of London. The day went on, and I noticed that Steve was staring at each Brit that we came across and trying to interact with them. Especially the hooligans. Steven's drunken stare is, I'm sure all you saw, but it's pretty creepy. You'll see it in this picture, you can show right now. So as the day went on, I watched Steve chug beers with the hooligans. He was talking soccer with the hooligans. He was singing songs with hooligans. These hooligans wanted Steve to be one of them, and I was concerned, but I was also in awe. He went from that charming, polite kid from New City to a wild Brit, but with good teeth. Steve was running from bar to bar, at that point screaming, "Hello, mate, hello!" Eventually, we finally slipped into the Tower of London, where the three of us ran around the historic dungeons, trying to break into exhibits while Steve continued to yell, "Hello!" If it was the 1400s, we would have been executed on the property for just being annoying idiots. But eventually, I noticed security was following us, so we ran out of the tower to avoid getting in trouble. Steve, thank you for leading that degenerate drinking charge that day, but most importantly, thank you for being such an amazing friend over the years. Since meeting Alex, all our friends knew that Alex would someday be your wife, and we are all thrilled that it's finally official. I can't wait to spend many more memories with the two of you, and I can't wait to finally celebrate tomorrow. Awesome stuff.
Steven smiled. Yeah, he did.
Alright. So, for the most part, the stories of Steven that you just heard paint a picture of him as a pretty unique guy. Likes to party, he has a good time, but also has bizarre tendencies that really make us wonder what's going on in his head. However, I would like to introduce you to the category 4 Steven. The Steven that some of you are probably not familiar with, but the Steven that we all know very well. Steven has a phrase, get after it, that he lives by 90% of the time that he goes out to party. And at his bachelor party, he took this phrase to a whole other level. So all of us head out to the Hamptons in early August to a share house that we rented for the weekend. The weekend started out completely normal. A couple of guys made a trip to the supermarket to get some food for the house. We organized a huge clam bake filled with steak and lobsters. And we even got a beer keg as if we were still 20 years old and in college. Things were really starting to fall into place. Everyone was thrilled. But let's fast forward now 24 hours to Saturday night when we arrived at the club South Point. In typical bachelor party style, this is the night where the bottles are flowing, the dance moves were coming out, and Steven took a first-class trip to Mars. It was around 1 a.m. and the bottles of champagne arrived at the table. Not knowing Steven was already completely hammered, we all reached for a glass so we could make a toast, but he had completely different plans for us. There wasn't going to be any toast tonight. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Steven takes the bottles of champagne, opens his shirt, and dumps every single bottle over his head. At this point, not only is At this point, not only is he completely soaked, but there's no way he was going to let us slide. We all ended up drenched by the end of this insanity, and we were covered in Patron, Jack Daniels, champagne, and vodka.
You have to look at Steve's eyes in this picture. There's no idea where he is.
Wait, what do I do?
I wish you both a lifetime full of happiness, health, and prosperity.
So by this point, I can only imagine how proud all of you are, Steve. So far, with everything he's accomplished. That said, can't be more honored than to be here standing right now to describe what we like to think really put the meeting to category 5. A lot of you may have heard this story before, but it really just doesn't get old. It keeps going down to history. Other stories from bachelor parties, from weddings, party times. I'm going to take us back about 12 years now. Steve really started to figure out what alcohol tastes like. Just have a good time. Not only have I had the pleasure to grow up with Steve at home in New City, we also spent our summers together at
Chinatown.
Steve's birthday being July 15th, clearly taking place over the summer, and away from home, Bobby and Sid always treated our bond to a pizza party. It was always wonderful. Thank you. 2001 being Steve's 18th birthday, we celebrated a little bit of a different fashion. I believe there actually may still be a voicemail from Maury under your answer machine. Kind of was a little concerned, but it was all good, clean fun. Don't worry, I'll still vouch for it. We're counselors at the time and we're able to leave camp at night. So for Steve's birthday, Ben, Seth, and Brian decided to drive up and help celebrate at the local watering hole. Camp owners got pretty annoyed at first, since these guys came up all unannounced and made us kick them off camp. But so me and Steve decided to jump in the car. Figured we'll just catch up with the guys anyway. So we left in the Volvo around 7 or 8 o'clock. While I was in the car, Ben got pulled over, being the only car on the only road by the only police officer in Dixon City. Ben was driving 14 to 35. True story. He was able to talk his way out of it, and off we went. So it's tradition at camp as elsewhere. On your 21st birthday, you take 21 shots. Whenever somebody buys a shot, they'd write that drink, sign their name, then the birthday guy would go and sign their name as well. Steven, always being super mature for his age and always being that go-getter, he wanted to follow his ritual for his 18th birthday. So most of our friends were there, along with some of the Brits, some of the Czechs, some of the kitchen crew, which was a little weird, but it was good eclectic fun. We were doing it for a good night. We started off with kamikazes, some Alabama slammers, sluts, and it was a good time. Easy stuff starting. Seth was in the corner giving a lesson on how to anchor man. Steve was telling arts and crafts. talking about how nice the climbing tower is at night. And we're just having a great time. At this point, I took Steve to the bar. My shot of Gold, probably like 8 or 9, decent at the time. So I took a shot of Goldschlager, and right next to the bar was a Cam's head chef, Garrett. Now this guy is probably the most intimidating person I've ever met. He's big, mustache, tattoos, really big anti-Semite, to be honest. He would never talk with us, would never do anything. But on this night, I was somehow able to get him to buy a drink for Steve. That's his birthday. Let's do something nice. Kind of this night was different from all other nights. And the only rules is Garrett's choice. So he fires up 3 double wild turkey shots and says, "All for you, Spanky." Guy and Tiger, number 10, 11, and 12 were all accounted for. Steve slammed all 3 down, made a pretty aggressive face and all over the place. But like a champ, he held it in, signed his paper, and walked away. Then the rest of the night was pretty dark. From the bar, which is too eager to get Steve drinks. He just kept focusing on wanting to sign that piece of paper, but as the one picture shows, he kind of stares off at the ceiling looking at something, we're not really sure what. Anyway, he always trying to outdo himself. He surpassed that goal, but he actually took 19 shots that night. Still proud of this day. So,
Champ's here.
yeah, but so the bar cleared out. It was now time to leave, and I'll just say that he needed a little assistance to get up from the chair. This lanky 100-pounder was kind of a struggle to drag out. I think Seth and Ben were holding him up. He mumbled something about wanting to take a walk from there. Clearly, this sounded like a logical idea at the time. Steve took about 1 or 2 steps, and now took a nice little nap on the sidewalk outside. He was really happy. Had a nice smile on his face. Got some water on his face, a little pokes. We ended up getting back in the car, made it back to camp. Pretty sure he learned another language that night. He definitely did not speak English the rest of the night. By the time we got back, Ryan was already throwing up at the car, set the place out. I didn't want to get on the road, so I knew he had a nice 4-hour drive home. I realized that Steve probably shouldn't go to his bunk with 10-year-old kids to go sleep with them. So